Peace and respect to you all. Welcome to Demolished Doctrine, beginning of the end of religions, all the silliness, all the magical thinking, believing things like it literally means that someone walked on top of H2O, or that there was somehow much more water on the earth at some time and it just, I don't know, disappeared or came out of nowhere. The windows in the heavens opened up and the deep springs of water burst forth. And suddenly, out of water that's not here was here. Sorry, guys, we now know that there is not a hard shell above the earth separating us from outer space. That's not how it works. And outer space is not full of water. By the way, nothing in the story about the water going somewhere. It just kind of, I don't know, soaks into the dirt or something. Peace and respect, Commander 401. Feel free to hit that link. Sadly, I don't have my computer, and I'm somewhere outside Columbus, about 2 hours away from the computer, I suppose. Well, that is too bad. So I've been at this for a while. I've been reviewing these and a flat earth joke. Thank you for that. Appreciate the giggle. I've been reviewing this stuff for about a decade now. And I've fairly recently, noticed something. Now, I applaud, truly, I do, those who make effort to point out to theists the things they're thinking of poorly. I really do applaud that. I'm not kidding you. But there's something that those people who spend time pointing it out, seems that they're kind of missing their own point. Because if you're going to say something like, this theist, some certain group of theists, think of reality poorly, that they're not able to think properly, to see things for what they evidently are. And I agree. There are plenty of theists who do that very thing. The problem with that is, if you think someone's poor at thinking about, the rest of the world, and it's inspired by their religion, what makes you think they're, the topic they're most biased about, the religion itself, what makes you think that their thinking is solid on that? What makes you think that they're thinking rationally about the text? So let's grant that they're irrational in the rest of the life, thinking that God does magical things in real time in their lives. Comes to healings, it was most likely medicine, modern medicine. It comes to their body getting stronger. It's probably because they're eating right, sleeping right, working out, staying hydrated, things like that. It's not God doing that stuff. So if they're thinking poorly about the outside world, certainly they're thinking even less rationally about their religious text. In which case, I have a question. I have a question for everyone, really. If they're thinking poorly about their own spiritual text, their religious text, why do you believe them? Now, I'm not talking about the truth assessment of what's in these religious stories. I know that if you're non-religious, you assess the truth value at low or none. I get that. That's absolutely fine. I get that. But what I am talking about is the way that they read it. Why should you accept that? Why should you accept that somehow they're thinking rationally when it comes to the thing they're most irrational about? And maybe someone could come in and explain to me why that seems rational to otherwise rational, agnostic, atheist, skeptical people. Why does that sound right? Let me give this in a little short story. Peace and respect. Krish, good to see you as well. Hillary's, good to see you. Peace and respect. Let me put this in the form of a little story. Let's say that I know as an adult I'd like to learn more maths because I'm just not good at them. I know just like some basic stuff and certain topics, and I don't know any advanced mathematics whatsoever. So I decide, well, I know there's more mathematics, peace and respect, Marty, than I presently know, and I know that there's other people that know more than me. So I'm going to hire a tutor. I'm going to go and look into this. This is, I'm making an equivalent of what it would be to be a skeptic thinker or an anti-theist or an atheist looking into these biblical stories, these religious stories. So I know I can know more. I'm going to go find out. So I hire a tutor. And the tutor comes to and spends time with me, is very nice, and teaches me things. And then when I try them in reality, they don't work. They don't work. And it soon becomes, peace and respect, Ox, it soon becomes evident, William, soon becomes evident to me that who I've hired to teach me mathematics is wrong. They're wrong. What they're saying doesn't work. So I fire them because that makes sense. That's the same as a skeptic rejecting Christianity. They grow up and they go, oh, well, this is wrong. They reject it. Great. You rejected it. Congratulations. I truly do applaud you. But then I keep the bad mathematics theory that the poor coach that I just fired. Just fired this guy, and I'm going to keep his mathematics theory and keep trying to apply it, though I know it doesn't work and it doesn't make any sense. Can anyone tell me who the stupid person here is? It's me. I'm the stupid person for keeping something I know doesn't work. End Times teacher, I appreciate you coming by the channel. Please feel free to stay and make comments at the height, absolute height of your intellect. I appreciate great challenges. Please give me some. Because I certainly don't have to try to persuade you that religion makes sense because you already believe that. Okay. So I had a tutor and I fire them. And I keep using what they taught me, which I know is wrong. This is what the atheist, agnostic, skeptic is doing with the Bible, applying Christianity to the Bible. Guys, please think about that for 5 seconds. I'm wondering who's the greater fool? The religious person who's believing it the way that they believe it, or the skeptic who uses that same theory to judge the literature? Who's the greater fool here? To the skeptic who says, oh, it's wrong, it's false, it's magical thinking, they're deluded. They're deluded, and you use their reading context. Guys, I don't want to be mean, but that's stupid. That's really bad. There's no way you could possibly justify that train of thought. Now, if you're doing an internal critique and you don't believe it and you don't believe they're reading it right, you may not know how to read it, but you don't need to know how to read it to say that something doesn't make sense. You can just compare it to reality. And you say to them, guys, you don't make sense. and you make fun of them from within their reading frame on the Bible, fine. I'm happy with that. I'm more than happy with that. I encourage you to show people when they're being goofy. Peace and respect, Marty.
Hi.
But if you think that the right way to read the Bible is through the Christian context where they think of things poorly and are most biased concerning the Bible, and they must be biased on that too, why would you read it like that? Rise above. Don't just reject something. Know why you reject it, and know how to explain why you reject it. What's up with you, Marty? What do you think of that idea, if you have any comments?
Yeah, that's why I don't equate you with religion or Christianity or Christians in general, because you don't see it like that. You don't, and you want bias. Oh yeah, are they biased or what? Everything else is wrong, and they're the only one doing it right. And they look at the world, not just their text, the world in the frame of their text. And if the text says that everybody else is doing it wrong, then everybody else is doing it wrong. And you can't tell them, no, hey, I'm doing my thing and I'm okay here. No. My text says you're wrong. So I have to look at
an experience just the other day that was something like that. Would you tell about that experience you had just the other day?
When the homeless lady gave me the Bible and I gave her some money, yeah, she was telling me I don't know, maybe she just wasn't right in the head, but she was telling me like God told me that someone in your life is a preacher. Is there someone in your life that's a preacher? And I'm like, no, my dad is like firebrand atheist, like Aaron Ra type level atheist, like to the point where like if he sneezes and you say bless you, he gets like offended. Like that's how much of an atheist he is. And I was like, no. And she's like, oh, do you believe in Jesus? I was like, no. And she's like, you don't? Well, why not? I was like, I kind of do my own thing. And she's like, well, what's your thing? Your thing is wrong. Is it? Is it really wrong? You don't even know what it is. I haven't even told you that I'm pagan and practice witchcraft, but I'm automatically wrong without even knowing what I'm doing because I'm not doing what you do. But I could even, like, if I did tell her I believed in Jesus, if I told her I believed in Jesus a way to a way that's different to her way, it still would have been the wrong way.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah.
I mean, how many sects of Christianity? The most recent number I saw was of recognizable sects, 33,000. And that may be true. I can't tell.
That's crazy. And then the divisions within each of the sects, like, you know, well, we do this and you don't do that. So we're this kind of Christian and you're that kind of Christian. Then offshoot from that, oh, forget about it. But they all argue with each other. And I think that's why atheists and pagans or polytheists ever get on so well, because they're all rallying against us. And we're all like, hey, just because I don't do your thing doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. Stop. Mm-hmm. Just stop.
I would like to be responsible and do a little public service announcement.
I know who this guy is. I recognize his picture.
Let me just say this real quick, Marty. Yeah. I want to stand out against this as a status of when a female is an adult, because they're not. Now, body chemistry may change. Hormones might kick in starting at about 8 years old. Okay, fine. That's medical. That doesn't mean that a person, and I think all the way up to actually probably about 22 or 23, a person shouldn't be able to consent, in my opinion, because they're just too hormonal and young and they don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like to see it, 3-4 years older than it is right now. That it has a lot to do with society and how a person is raised up and how they're thinking about themselves in life and other things. And it's not just mental ability. It's also social constructs. So if you're in the developed world, a female is not a woman until she is legally a woman. And by that, I mean 18, and I'd actually prefer 21. Okay, guys. So stay to the law in the land that you live in, please. And just because someone's body starts to change doesn't mean they're an adult. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It doesn't mean they're able to give consent. And if you could get off of the topic of sex end times teacher, I'd really deeply appreciate that. If you wanted to argue something else like understanding of the Bible or understanding of any spiritual text, I think that would be more what I'm trying to do on this show. Okay. I appreciate it. Yeah. So she tells you you're wrong and she gives you a Bible. I want to say I disagree with your dad. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I disagree with him too.
No, just on this, let me be specific. I disagree with him. If someone has a beautiful intent for me, I'm going to look at the intent. I'm not going to look at the gift. You know, maybe for my birthday, someone gives me something I just have no use for, no need for, not interested in. Okay. It doesn't mean they didn't have the thought that they wanted to gift me.
Sure.
So if I sneeze and someone says, God bless you, I don't think that I should be offended no matter what my stance is. Their intent for me was good. So I would disagree with them on that.
It's just manners at this point. Like, it's just called common manners. And I argued that with him one day. I was like, Dad, it's just manners. He's like, well, do you know what that comes from? I go, I know what it comes from. But in this day and age now, it's just manners. Like Emily Post would agree with me that it's just manners to say bless you when someone sneezes. So get over yourself.
Sure.
You know, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but, it's now a cultural thing. It's not even necessarily religious.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. You know,
dads.
Dad, you know what I mean? Men, you know?
Men. Yeah, I've known a few. I've been one. You know. So I kind of understand. I do try to look at myself critically when I have been in the past stubborn or whatever for whatever reason. I try to look at that. Self-aware. Try to be more self-aware. I recommend it, by the way. Makes you able to be happier. Just by the way.
Or it can bum you out when you realize when you look at a lot of your faults and go, man.
I'd be like Marty. If you see that you have faults, then you can start to identify a path to lead yourself forward. If you don't know you have a fault, then you might be ignorance, and ignorance may be bliss, but your life won't be well adjusted to the reality when you're not fixing your own faults.
That's very true. That's called shadow work, actually.
Shadow work. Very nice. I like that. Because it's not tangible and physical. It's an intangible thought process. Shadow work. That's a good way to put it. I like that.
That's a you'll hear pagans or witches talk a lot about it, but you don't have to be pagan or a witch or any of that to do it. It's a you know, if you see a therapist, you're doing shadow work. It's just you know,
that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So, but that's why I don't equate you. That's why I say I don't call Richard a Christian, because that's offensive to Richard, because you're not a Christian. You're not in that framework. You're able to, in your effort to slay me as a witch, you're not calling me out of my name like all the other Christians do. Christians will.
Why would I do? But Marty, tell me why that's sexy to you. Tell me why that makes sense to you. Tell me why that is kind or persuasive to you.
Why to
call you names, to try to degrade you, to try to pressure you? Why?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. I look at Christians like that, and I'm like, if you think your Jesus is proud of you for talking to people like this and acting like this, boy, I'm going to go with probably not, because I mean, I know that they would say, I had one guy say, well, Jesus would try and persuade you to come into the light and the truth and blah, blah, blah. I go, yeah, but he wouldn't be a dick about it.
No, that's just counterproductive. You know, I hear Christians try to justify their anger and stupidity and overacting and persecution through the acts of Jesus in like turning over the tables and whipping people at the temple with the money sales with the rip-off artists. That's what was going on there, apparently.
Yeah, I know that story.
And next time I hear one of them try to justify it that way, and I hear it quite a bit, I'm going to point out to them that what he was doing there was trying to get himself killed. That's why he went to a popular place where everyone would notice and raised a big fuss over something. Now, did he raise a big fuss over something that was actually detrimental to people and it was taking advantage? Yeah, well, that's a fine thing to pick on.
Sure.
But the fact of the matter is he stayed and got arrested so he could be killed. That's what he was going for, to get killed.
Okay. I can swing with that. Because otherwise,
if he was aware of what's going on. Go ahead. Sorry.
He wouldn't have went over there and, acted a damn fool. Otherwise, like he would have, you know what I mean? Like, because he's flipping over tables, he's whipping the money changers and yelling at everybody, away with you, blah, blah, blah. Causing that kind of trouble in that day and age. I mean, that's the way to get yourself whacked. Like,
so. And then he goes to court and sees the judge, right? And the judge says, "So you think you're the son of God?" You know what his reply was? His reply was, "So you say." Sarcasm.
Yeah, I've heard different. There's from what I understand, there's passages where Jesus says, I don't know if it's. I haven't read it in a minute. Maybe I should read the Bible that she gave me. It's still in my car.
If you were trying to make a defined point,
Yeah. Where Jesus says, I am the, that he says where he says he's God, because a lot of the Christians think he's God, that he's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and that's all him in one person.
Well, let me put that in context. He's talking to the traditional religious leaders who would care about something like that.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so to those people, when he says that, he's being extremely provocative on purpose. But then he runs away. See, so the whole story is like, oh, I've got this job to do. I know I have to be killed and raised again. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go into near the town. I'm going to find some religious people, piss them off, and leave. I'm going to find more religious people, piss them off, and leave. I'm going to find one government official, piss him off, and leave. I'm going to find more religious people, piss them off, and leave.
That's the way to get the job done.
When they're really up to here with it, I'm going to piss them off and stay.
That's a way to get the job done.
There you go. You want to get crucified? There you go. Piece of cake. No problem.
I'm not a fan of people. When I see people wearing crosses, I'm like, you're wearing a torture device. Are you aware of that? Like, you're wearing literally a torture device, and you're proud of this? What is wrong with you? Like,
you want to hear something funny?
Huh?
Something funny on that. Okay, let's say that you got a lot of friends. Say you had like 500 friends, right? Your little hometown. They've known you. You've known each other your whole life. You grew up with them, school, and all that, right? You got like 500 adults, right? And one day you get into a car accident, and it just so happened you're driving a candy apple red Ford Mustang convertible with a white interior, right? And you die. But the way that you die, medicine just figured out they can bring you back because the exact way you died. Okay.
Right.
But you're like in a coma for like 6 months and everybody thought you were dead. Say there was rumors or whatever. And they started getting this crumpled up red Ford Mustang convertible with a white interior and a little tiny one, about yay big, and wearing it around their neck. And then they bring you out of the coma, right? And you go back and you see your friends and they're all wearing this freaking Mustang. And you're like,
crazy.
Oh, hey, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
It was excruciating pain. Oh, you too. You're wearing it too. Hey, great. Would you want to see it like on every building top, around every neck of everybody you meet? Would you want to see that?
On government buildings and everything, considering that how Jesus was completely pretty much anti-government when they put crosses out by government buildings. You clearly never read your Bible, because if you did, you wouldn't put a cross here, because Jesus wouldn't like you anyhow. So right. I love the fact that as a pagan I wasn't raised Christian or Catholic or any of that. Like I said, my dad's firebrand atheist. I know more about Christianity and the Bible than most Christians do. And I didn't read a whole lot of it. I read enough to make me say, this is not my bag. I want to address Johnster's point where he says, help, I'm being persecuted. Boy, do Christians love their persecution porn. Anytime somebody that's a group of people like the LGBT community that's been maligned for so long and abused and treated poorly wants to step up and say, hey, we're people too, that's when the Christians get like, oh, wait a minute. You're trying to take away, or no, we're not trying to take anything from you. We're trying to gain what you have. That doesn't affect you at all. If two men getting married affects your marriage, then that's something between you and your God that you might want to look into. Because maybe the
Why
problem
would that's a more outrageous claim than I've heard. Do some people claim that? I mean, you are talking about like how they act, like it affects them.
Yeah, they get like, and they get so, and I wonder if they're anti-gay marriage, like the marriage that happens, like their marriage, how they interact day to day, they go to the movies and eat pizza and clean the house, or gay weddings, because they seem to really not like gay weddings. A wedding and a marriage is two different things. So are they against gay people having a wedding, or are they against the marriage of I don't know either, against the marriage of because a marriage is the relationship,
right?
But they seem to be focusing on the wedding. Well, the wedding is not your marriage. I mean, as you know, I've seen beautiful weddings and the marriage ends up in crap. So
I tend to think of a wedding ceremony as a public announcement.
Yes.
So that the general population knows. In ancient Hebrew culture, and probably several places still in the Arabic nation, a family builds a square, dirt and gardening and stuff like that, just something for pretty, in the middle of houses, and they build out from those houses, and they keep building out, which is why the square is always the center of town.
Right. Yeah. Town square. Yeah.
Town square. Yeah. And to become wed, what you did was you marched around the square together announcing it. That way everybody heard.
That was your engagement announcement in the newspaper. You just walk around.
You just walk around the square announcing it. In fact, in Santa Fe, they are kind of announcing it, but no one knows who they are, and it's all shops downtown on the square. But just the same, this used to be like the core of the family was here,
right?
So yeah, and if you got divorced, same thing. You walk around together 3 times around the square announcing the divorce, and that's it. You're divorced.
Yeah, I imagine back then a wedding ceremony would be, and walking around like that would be more of like, okay, Susie and Peter are now off the market because they're now together. So if you're interested in Susie or Peter, you got to turn your attentions elsewhere because they're not available anymore. So go find somebody else because they're married now. Let everybody know. And I don't know if they did presents back then, but maybe give them some presents. But Susie and Peter are no longer available. So, but the persecution porn, boy, they love to say how persecuted they are and how. Sure. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, women couldn't have a credit card until like the 70s. Like, are you serious?
Credit cards come out for normal people.
No, I know, but women weren't able to have credit. Women weren't able to have like credit or cards or anything like that until like, I want to say, I think I read it.
I mean, I believe you, but it seems I'm trying to figure out how long was the delay. Maybe you could just tell me that.
Oh, like how long before, like after they passed that, and how long before we started getting credit cards?
Because when you say like women weren't allowed, you're talking about average people with average incomes. Right?
Yeah. No, just a female. Females weren't.
What if she was like fabulously rich?
That I don't know. I mean, I'll say women don't go to war either. Yeah, they didn't, but they do now. So get over yourself. Show me Sasquatch said that they women are in the military.
I don't
now.
know what country Sasquatch is referring to. It is very recently, and only in certain combat MOSs, that females enlisted in the U.S. military forces can be in some kind of a combat MOS. And if you mean by go to war, you mean like stand on the front line with a machine gun and shoot at the other guy? That's a fairly recent thing. But if you mean like go into a war zone and risk your life by bombing, stray bullets, etc., they've been doing that for a really long time.
Yeah, B. Arthur was a Marine before she became an actor. She was in the Marines. She was a truck driver. So if you think women don't go to war, I don't know. Read some history.
That's not accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, they just don't normally have combat MOSs, but that's starting to change.
Yeah, good. If someone wants to get out there and do, I'm not paying attention to Sasquatch anymore. They're being weird. But yeah, that whole persecution thing, I'm like, boy, I don't think you even know what that word means. You might want to Google that word and see what it actually means, because you guys aren't being persecuted. Russia had well-known female snipers during World War II. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And they had pilots. Somebody had pilots, and they were called like the Night Witches or something like that. And they were a group of female pilots, and they kicked ass. So good for them. But yeah, I haven't. That Bible's still in my car. I tried to give it to somebody else. I asked the guy, I'm like, "Are you a Christian?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Here, this lady gave me this Bible. Do you want it? Because I don't think I'm going to use it." He's like, and he's same thing. Oh, you should read. Hey, Doubting Thomas, you should read it. It'll change your life. It'll make your life better. I'm like, yeah, same thing, but I kind of do my own thing. Oh no, but you shouldn't do that thing. Really? How do you know I shouldn't do that thing? It's the fact that everything that sucks in life for someone who's not a Christian is because they're not a Christian. That drives me insane. Like, if things suck in life, it has nothing to do with your faith or lack thereof. It's just because it's life and things suck sometimes in life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm living at the place that I work and I have $300 in savings. That stuff sucks right now, but because it's life, not because I'm not a Christian. Like, you know, like
I have a theory of happiness, and I think I can back this up reasonably logically. If unhappiness and anger and frustration and those kinds of things are a result of me not getting what I want, and me not getting what I want is the same as me not knowing how to get the things I want, then what's really going on there is a lack of knowledge. What do you think?
Well, I try to work both philosophies. I try to work the philosophy of work smart, not harder. And I try to work the philosophy of sometimes I have to work harder and smart won't cut it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say maybe it's a little bit, it's maybe a little bit of both, because in my current situation, I only have so many means. You know, I only have X amount of means that I have to try and maintain myself and try and maintain, you know, try and get savings and all that. So that's just through my everyday work, but I'm also doing some side stuff, which is smart to try and do some side stuff, but I have to work hard at the side stuff. So it's I try and do both. I try and do both philosophies, because I do agree with you that sometimes it's just a lack of knowledge. And sometimes,
like, how many people go to their boss and say, "What would you want to see me do differently so I get promoted or make more money?" Who goes to their boss and asks them that?
No, I sure don't. I haven't had a raise in years. Speaking of which,
well, what would be wrong with asking?
Nothing's wrong. Well, I know she's not giving out raises, because she said numerous times she doesn't have the money to give out raises right now. But I mean, I don't think I've ever asked for a raise. No one's gotten raises in years, so it's not just me. But yeah, there's no fault in asking. I think I have asked for raises at other jobs, and I don't know if maybe I did get one time, or some of the other bosses told me no. But yeah, there's nothing wrong in asking. So I think that's where the knowledge part would come into play. You just don't know because you haven't asked.
Like, what if you think that your boss is someone who likes someone who submits, who likes someone, you know, puts their head down, says yes ma'am, no ma'am, you know, does those kinds of things. But what if you're wrong and they actually like somebody who strongly stands up for themselves, and you're just under a false impression, but you never asked?
Right. the whole staff here kind of do a little bit of both. I work for she's almost 80. She's a Southern Christian lady, relatively nice lady, but when she gets, ticked off, it's like, oh, whoa. So we do a little bit of both. The whole staff does a little bit of both. But in terms of something like that, yeah, again, I would say that's where the lack of knowledge would apply, because if you don't ask, then you don't know. But then once you do get that promotion, then you have to work hard in order to maintain that promotion. So that's where the other thing comes in. So I try and do both things because everything stresses me out. So I try and figure out what I have to do to work to do what I got to do. And yeah.
You had to read it. That's so funny. You had to stop mid-sentence to read that. That was.
I sure did. Yeah, no, that's true. That's very true.
I think this is a really good point. In fact, when you ask Christians to justify the Christian persecution complex, they'll usually refer to places they've never lived, never been, and aren't going.
Christians in Iraq are being killed. Are you an Iraqi Christian? Well, then you're not being persecuted. So stop it. And I feel them on. I swing with them on the point of that's crappy. You know what I mean? Like, and I empathize with the apostate, as there would be out there. I empathize with that. But when Karen with her Frappuccino latte in her SUV is saying that she's persecuted because she's a Christian, but she doesn't know the life that the Muslim girl over there is having because she's a Christian, it's not the same thing. You're not even close to what that poor kid over there has to deal with. You're dealing with first world problems, and she's dealing with real problems. So maybe you want to settle down there, Beavis, because you don't quite know what persecution is unless you're going through that. So it's that kind of crap drives me crazy. When you're living in what's supposed to be one of the richest and best countries on the planet, and you're because of your religion, because your book says that you're going to be persecuted, and then when gays start getting rights, you take that as you being persecuted, and then they take that as, oh, see, the Bible's true. Gays are getting married. We're going to lose our Christianity. We're not going to be able to believe in God anymore. Like, what the hell does one have to do with the other? Again, if gays getting married has something to do with your relationship, or with your relationship with your spouse, or your relationship with your God, that's between you and your God. Take it up with them. Talk to your pastor. That's got nothing to, if I marry a woman today, that shouldn't affect what you just do and say in church. It's got nothing to do with you. So get over yourself. They don't get it. They don't get it. It's I don't know. I don't understand the persecution porn thing. It's just not something I understand.
It just doesn't exist. And aside from that, we like to think of ourselves as really special, but we're not all that special. Yes. Like, if you actually look into it in Sharia law, in order to get persecuted for homosexuality, which is against the law, it is. But in order to get persecuted for it, to get prosecuted for it, like legally in their legal system, you have to have 3 witnesses. Now that means those 3 witnesses were straight. Okay. Now, where were you having sex that 3 straight people were there? Where? Just where the hell were you?
They don't even do that at pride parades, contrary to popular.
You see what I'm saying?
Like,
right? So you have to be witnessed in the act by 3 people who would tell on you. That's what you need. Well, what were you doing it in the park? Have some sense of public decency. Go to your house.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, and even if you could find 3 gay guys that can lie and say that they're straight and they didn't see you, and and you still get off, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, but you know what? Honestly, that, as much as it sucks that it's illegal over there, that one stipulation, kind of a pretty good buffer, because like you said, where are you doing it? Where 3 straight guys can watch you? You know
The
what I mean?
law is
Like,
exactly the same. That law is exact. I'm not trying to defend Sharia.
oh
I
yeah,
don't, I
no,
don't try to
neither am
defend
I.
anything,
But yeah,
but that same law is for heterosexual sex in public as well. Three
then you have to get
witnesses.
three. Yeah,
Yeah. Now I don't know about sentencing or punishments or if there's a difference because I just don't know that much. But I know that it's against the law for straight folks too.
I do know that for homosexual men, I think at least it was. I want to say execution. I don't know if they changed it or not,
It might be.
but it was execution.
Yeah.
In the situations in Uganda, which is why I don't buy Chick-fil-A. I don't give Chick-fil-A my money because I know where their money
Why?
goes.
What's that got to do with Uganda?
Because they give the owners or whoever they are, the brass at Chick-fil-A give money to campaigns like that go over to Uganda and criminalize homosexuality. Like criminalize homosexuality to the point where they'll
Why?
print out newspaper. Yeah, it's real bad. Where they'll make newspapers and they'll list homosexual people that they know or suspect of homosexuality, and they're shunned by society, or they could be outright killed by like the warlords and crap out there. It's real bad. It's real bad over there, and it's that
Wow.
those people are being persecuted. Christians,
That's persecution. If
That's
someone seeks you
persecution.
out and announces you so that you are likely to be killed, that's persecution.
So until that happens to you, Karen, shut the hell up.
You little whiner pants.
I know, right? Drink your latte and shut up. Like it just makes me go. Some of this stuff just makes me go, wow, I'm really glad I'm pagan and I don't have to deal with this kind of crap.
Christian persecution in the U.S.
Jill's in the house. Hi, Jill.
The service people took an extra minute to serve me. I know it would have been faster for a pagan.
Yeah, right. They didn't
What?
serve me because I'm Christian. Really? Did they? Is that why? Jill's in the house. It's good to see you, Jill. Let's see if he talks to me. I doubt it though, but let's just see. Do you want to come in, Jill, or no? Nah, he's not going to come in.
Well, anyway, I don't believe in giving people free rent they haven't earned, so I just soon move on with it. So yeah, if you're a Christian and you think that you're persecuted in the U.S., you're obviously ignorant of what's going on in like Muslim controlled countries, in Buddhism controlled countries, where there are Christians living in the absolute thick of a religious democracy, you know, in the middle of a religiously ruled area, and they do stuff like get killed.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
I have to wonder if they're being provocative on purpose. I actually listen to a Christian radio station so I can learn more of their stances and find logical problems with it. So I'm more prepared in the future for what would be, to my experience on YouTube, the introduction of a new argument. Because all the arguments are old. I just need to learn them all. You know,
Yeah.
They're 1,000 years old. I just need to learn what's out there. So I'm trying to do that. And I'll hear stuff like there's this one fund you can give to through the radio station that like helps to financially support Christians in non-Christian parts of the world. Okay. Like there's this Christian guy who is a preacher, had a congregation of about 60 people. They were renting a building off of a landowner. The landowner is what religion was it? Doesn't matter. I'm just going to move on. And they were doing praise and worship, and the neighbors could hear that. Okay, and the neighbors came and threatened the landowner, saying we don't like this. So he takes away their privilege of rent. Says you got to leave. So they got a fundraiser for that to help him find another building to preach at. And there's also stories like, you know, so-and-so got killed or whatever like that. And that's real persecution. It really is. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll swing with that. Sure.
Your life is in danger. Someone's actively trying to kill you because you're a Christian. That's Christian persecution. I'll grant it. Okay.
Apostasy. Yeah.
But I have to wonder how they knew that person was a Christian.
That's
because they made it obvious in public.
Yeah, if you're an apostate, you don't announce that shit. If you're afraid for your life, you pray. I pray every morning to the goddess every morning, and I pray over my breakfast, and I pray in my head. It's really that easy. Like, you can say your prayer in your head to yourself. If your God is everywhere, He'll hear it. So you don't have to announce, "Hey, I'm a Christian," because that's just puts a target on your back.
Sure. I mean, aren't the Christians smarter than that, or is their pride such that they have to show off? It's like vegetarians. You know, Marty, do you know how you can tell a vegetarian? You know how you can tell
you.
They'll freaking tell you.
Or a vegan too. Hey, I'm vegan, which is fine.
Vegan. I'm vegan, but I'm vegan, so vegan.
Yeah, I get it. I understand the process for that. Sure, no problem.
Sure.
But yeah, that's right. They'll tell you. But yeah, that's a good point. And why would you, in a theocracy, why would you announce? Why would you make yourself stand out? Why would you wear a cross in a Muslim country? Why would you do that? Why would you try to? I mean, I know they have to spread the word of Jesus, and I know that's part of the hey, leave them alone. I love Ox.
That's funny.
Ox is a mess. I love Ox. You know, and probably because they maybe are trying to fulfill the Great Commission, where they have to bring everybody to Christ, because that's the. But if you know you can't do that there, then don't do that there. Like, you know, just I think your God will understand, and if He doesn't, then maybe you don't want to worship that God. I'm just saying, you know, like if your God's going to look at you and say, well, you didn't fulfill my commission while you were living in, you know, war-torn Iraq or in the Middle East, then sorry, you can't get in. That's
how long are you going to do it? You could be smart about it. And you know, feel out the waters and see if someone's unhappy but religious, and if they're looking to switch religions, they would let you know that over time with trust. Yeah. And then, you know, you sit in the living room, you have a private conversation, and what would be illegal about that? Nothing. There'd be nothing illegal about that. But if you're going to ring a bell walking down the street with your King James version,
because that's the real version. All the other versions are crap.
Well, that's why I said that, because everybody knows it's the only real Bible.
That's the only real one, Richard. The only real one. Right, Jill?
I'm aware. I'm completely wrong for trying to do a word-for-word translation. Yeah, I'm a horrible Satanist for doing that. You betcha.
God, Richard, you're the worst.
I'm telling you. You know what's funny is it actually makes sense within itself and against reality if you do just a direct translation and you forget the Christian part. It actually makes sense.
I've been watching your thing with Math Pick. I've been listening to some
Jubilees.
Of those. Yeah.
And so far I'm only picking on Jubilees because there seems to be some light inconsistencies, and I'll find out over time in context how inconsistent with reality it is. And I don't really know right now, but when they use words a funny way, I go, eh. It's like if you knew a pagan who told you that Summerland was going to be on this earth.
I hope the hell not, because that's not.
You see what I'm saying?
What's the point of having Summerland if it's here?
If it's freaking here, like, you can't do better than this.
There's yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I also like the fact that you would agree there are inconsistencies in the Bible. Yeah. No,
I would agree that there are strong inconsistencies in Christians who read it, not in the text itself, though.
Okay. All right. I'll swing with that. Okay. Like when, you know, when I'll just because he's here, like if Joe is reading something, the way he reads it is inconsistent with the actual text.
Like let's say, for instance, I could quote you 5 different places in that text where it says it's an angel speaking, but the angel speaking for God, right? Saying, look, this is what God wants for you. Happiness, health, longevity, being with the ones you love, awesome food, not crying over crap. And that's what He wants for you, okay?
Right.
But if I change, I know of my intent for you. This angel speaking for God, quoting, saying, I know of my intent for you to prosper you, and you change that right there from the universal you to only Calvinists. Well, you just changed the intent of the verse. You just privatized it and made it fit only your belief system and no one else's. And how the hell do you justify that?
Well, they figure it out, or they try to anyhow.
See, but the Baptists think it's about Baptists.
Mm-hmm.
The Catholics think it's about Catholics, and on and on and on. Everyone commits that logical fallacy, saying, I've got the right ideas about God, you've got the wrong ideas, and if you've got the wrong ideas, this verse is not talking about you.
Yeah. That's why
that's just extremely biased. It's not consistent.
That's why I try and throw, and I've tried this with Christians, and they've gotten well. That's something different. With the where the in Leviticus,
like
man shall not lie with man as he lieth with a woman, and then I don't know if it's verses before or verses after that have like, don't eat fish, or don't eat shellfish, don't eat pork, and I'm like, so you don't eat shrimp, right? Well, no, I do. Well, then your Bible tells you not to. No, that's not for me. That's for somebody else. Really? So 2 lines, 2 verses away from the verse that you're trying to use to condemn homosexuality or LGBT people, you don't follow?
More than that, you almost can't. In the world today, even silk clothing made of one thread is not sewn together with silk thread. And your blue jeans that you wear are a cotton polyester blend, not made with one kind of thread. And everything else that you touch all the time is not made with one thread. It's just not. It's mixed fabrics. And you can't even avoid buying mixed fabrics and wearing them. I promise you're wearing something of a mixed fabric right now. You are. You sinner.
Yeah. And then we get everybody's a sinner and everybody falls short of the book. Don't try and justify the fact that you just think gay men are icky. Yeah. And that's what you should say. I think gay men are icky because I'm a man and they might want to sleep with me, and I don't like that. That's why I don't think gay men should get married. Just say that. Stop trying to hide.
Wait. That's a fallacy. Look, I've never experimented, and I'm not inclined to. Okay. And I've just been like really straight, which is boring. I know, but I've just been really straight my whole life. Okay. No, but I used to be a lot cuter than I am right now. I used to be a pretty handsome young man, and I did get hit on by some gay men who were, I'm sure, like going, yeah, maybe there's a chance. I think I'll give it a try. They obviously had broken gaydar because that's not true, because I don't think any of them thought I was gay. Because the way they approached me like, hey, have you ever thought about dabbling? You ever thought about giving that a shot? And that's the way they approached me. And I always said the same thing. I always said, I've got this mental condition where I can only get aroused by females.
A mental condition.
Well, it is. It's a mental condition where I didn't exaggerate it. That's the truth. That my mentality says get aroused by females. So that's what I'm naturally inclined to do, and I couldn't change it if I wanted to, So, and they chuckled a bit, and that was the end of it, and everything was fine, But I don't see any reason why I should persecute them, be offended. It's a compliment. That dude thought you were hot. Well, so good. Somebody thought you were hot. That's awesome.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? And
I always said thank you.
Yeah, it's how hard is it to say, I'm straight, thank you very much, have a nice day, I appreciate you. How hard is that to say? It's not that difficult.
Frankly, if you're like really offended by someone complimenting you, saying they'd like to have some kind of like, take you out, buy you a meal, maybe sex later, if that offends you, you got some issues.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. But that's the let me think of the right word. I'll say that's how bigots and homophobes approach specifically gay men, because they don't have a problem with me as a bisexual woman, because bisexuality in chicks is hot. But for men that are like, I'm a homophobic men that can't be comfortable in their own masculinity or their own sexuality, to be like, okay, yeah, Brad Pitt's a nice looking dude. You know what I mean? Like, without thinking that's gay, they're the ones that get like, oh, well, I don't like gay men because they might want to sleep with me. First of all, get the hell over yourself, because you're ugly anyhow. Second of all, just don't worry about it. And I think that they also think that they'll be treated the way that they treat women, because guys like that probably don't treat women great, and they probably would be afraid of being treated the way they treat us. So
that's a really good point.
Right?
I never thought about that one.
Yeah. There's the whole line of like those incel, homophobe guys that hate women. I'll say that's part of the reason why that's part of the reason why they're like that, because they think that they'll be treated the way that they treat us, and they don't like that, because it emasculates them. Excuse me, that's the correct word.
Emasculation, yeah.
Yeah. So, but guys like that are funny. They're kind of fun. They're fun to like have fun with, because there's not a whole lot, from what I read in the Bible, not a whole lot of thou shalt not lie with women a woman should not lie with a woman as she lies with man. I don't think I read that anywhere. There might be something later on in something, but I don't remember reading any of that.
The most recent scholarship on those sections is, and I mean secular scholars, so it's not like they have a religious view about it. They're just studying the language and the way that it was being used at the time and the way that the words came out. And there is a growing in popularity, getting some good foothold theory, that what it's talking about is not talking about adult males with adult males, but is talking about adult males with either near kin. Okay, and that makes sense to me, because that could cause some family problems.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that kind of tension at the family reunion. No.
When
so that does make sense to me socially, and underage males.
I've heard that,
which is also a really good rule.
Yes,
don't take advantage of young folks.
Yes,
I like that rule.
I like that one too. I've also heard that this got a lot of traction, that it was talking about the temple prostitutes, like the Ketamites, which would make way more sense rather than trying to apply it to modern homosexual relationships now.
Right.
Like it's not the same thing. They're two different things. And then we get into if they're gonna have sex with a man, they want to have sex with a toaster. First of all, if someone's gonna have sex with a toaster, good luck. Second of all, just like
I guess it's possible. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never, I'm not attracted to toasters. But and then they start getting into like, well, what about kids? Well, kids can't consent. That's why stuff like that's illegal. And if you can't tell the difference, and I say this to the bigots and like the Jills of the world, if you can't tell the difference between two grown consenting male adults and any adult trying to take advantage of a child, then you're the problem and they're not.
Because I've heard this associated, and that makes no sense to me.
It's not even, being gay doesn't automatically.
Perhaps they're unaware that there's a solid percentage of pedophiles who are heterosexual.
No, they're not aware of that. And a lot of them are in clergy too. That's also another thing that they don't understand. A lot of them are in clergy. So your kid is safer at a drag show than they would be at your church. But hi Pixie. Yeah, a lot of them are, and not only are they heterosexuals, they're heterosexuals that they know, like in the family or a friend of the family or something like that. Rarely is a stranger going to come up to your kid and grab on your kid.
A friend of mine, not a couple years back, was accused. And he's from, I want to get the right country, and I'm not good at that because I'm an American. I'm ignorant. He's from, spoke Portuguese, Brazil.
Okay.
He's from Brazil, and he was working on becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen and knew very little about U.S. law or anything like that. He knew driving law, and that's it, right?
Oh, wow.
So I started doing all this research for him and said, okay, you need to file this for this reason. You need to talk to your lawyer about this, this, and this. You need to show, that you had active sex with girlfriends while you were married. You need to show that because they were already divorced. It didn't matter now.
Right.
That you were sexually active with a consenting adult, because I'm showing him all these statistics and stuff. He didn't follow any of my advice out of his own pride. And I think he's in jail because I ain't seen him in 4 years, which is a shame because I'm absolutely convinced he is innocent. And he was just getting hung out to dry. But I went and studied like all this information about adult sexuality and predators. What is adult on adult rape? The whole spectrum. I just studied a whole bunch of crap, and recidivism and just all kinds of things. But it's homosexuality is not child molestation.
Right. It's not.
And it's extremely unlikely. In fact, it's extremely unlikely that if you have a sex with someone your age as an adult, that you would want to bother with the difficulty of preying on someone who is legally in someone else's care, because now you got 2 steps to go through. You got a wall there that you have to bridge.
Mm-hmm.
With adults, there's no wall. It's just their opinions.
Yeah,
just the 2 of you, and that's it. Nothing to worry about. So yeah, it's like less than 3%. Less than 3% that to them it's the same thing no matter what age. It's a very low percentage. You'll probably never find one.
No, I've seen that stat before, but that's something that they like to go to. That's something that they like to
That's
go
not
to.
true.
There's no correlation. Just because someone's gay doesn't automatically make them a predator. Your kid's more likely to be assaulted by Uncle Joe or your neighbor Steve than a drag queen. Like it's you heard what Tennessee did, right? They like banned they did something where I think they banned drag shows.
Wait, drag shows don't have anything to do with the sexuality of the individual in drag.
Well, not according to Tennessee.
But I'm right? It's not necessarily.
You're absolutely right, but not according to these chumps. What did they do? Let me see. The drag ban. Yeah, they anti-drag bill passed in Tennessee that restricts adult cabaret performances in public or in the presence of children. So drag shows. Drag queens aren't performing at the playground at recess. They're performing in drag clubs and in bars and arenas. You know what I mean? Like I saw a drag queen a few years ago. She performed at a theater in Atlanta. She was fantastic. That's where they're performing. They're not going in front of your kids. See, and that's what drives me crazy is they think that we're dangerous, that we, because I'm part of that family, are dangerous to children. And I'm like, wow, that just makes me, that's persecution. So all these Christians that are spouting they're persecuted, they banned drag performances no one performs drag in public. I don't know if you've ever been to a drag show, but they're not going into the cafeteria at lunchtime and being like, "Hi kids, I'm Susie Sparkles," and putting on her they are. So let's be. So,
I mean, that's the same impression I had.
I mean, you can be. There are people that it's funny because I met my second ex-fiance when he was in drag. So you can be heterosexual and still be in drag, maybe just like putting on those clothes and doing shows. It's not limited to gay men. Anybody can do drag. And
here's the biggest problem I have with people against drag. Do they persecute clowns as well? Do they think that people who are in a circus, they're in an extreme outfit, they're presenting a character which does not represent them, and how they represent themselves in public.
Right.
And it additionally has nothing to do with their sexuality. It's not indicative of a damn thing. Do they go out and try to like stop clowns?
That's a really good. That's a really good question. That's a really good way to look at it, because I never even thought
clown,
about that.
quit pretending to be something other than human. You
Yeah.
knocked that off. We all know you're a human. Like,
quit being
what?
wacky. Like,
quit trying to be goofy and wacky for fun. Don't do that.
yeah.
And why is drag very different from that? It's a performance piece.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Or do they go on sets of plays and like pin people to the wall saying you are not Juliet and you're not Romeo?
Yeah, really. Back in the day, actually, when women weren't allowed to be in theater, men were female parts. That's where drag started. That's where all that came from. I heard from, and I don't know if this is true, I should look this up, that I heard that the word drag came from when men would put on dresses and stuff to be women parts and women weren't allowed in the theater, that's how that, because their dresses dragged across the floor. That's what I heard, that's what that came from. I don't know if that's true or not. I have to look that up.
It's a good one. It's believable.
Yeah, it's plausible. That's plausible.
To be in drag is to be in clothes that drag.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it. Yeah, okay. I'll buy it for now.
Yeah, I can buy that until I read otherwise. But
sure. Yeah,
these people. I mean, like, what do you think? What do you think these people are doing? Not like. Not.
Yeah, other than king's robes, men's clothes don't drag.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. Yep. And back in the day, men used to wear heels because it made their calves look stronger and it made them look taller. And then when chicks caught on to that, like back in the day, like 100 years, 1,000 million years ago, in like France and stuff, when chicks caught on to that, then men stopped doing that because then they thought it wasn't so manly anymore, and chicks were started to wear heels. So,
if I'm on a pair of 4-inch spikes, dude, I'm 6 foot. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what it did. And it made your apparently there's a thing with calves and men back in the day. I don't know, but it made your calves.
I really don't need my calves to be any bigger. I know they're ridiculous now.
Apparently they needed that. Apparently that they needed that back in the day. So I don't know. But yeah, that's where all that started. So when are these religious guys going to start wearing men's clothing, high heels? Yeah, exactly. Like they're trying to persecute the persecuted are trying to persecute other people, and they're upset when these people who are really getting crap from everybody are trying to like one thing that drives me crap crazy. I'll make this point, and I got to split in a second. Is the idea that to be a homosexual or an LGBT, someone makes a conscious choice to be that way. And I'm like, if you think of all the terrible crap that people say about gay men specifically, people tell, why should they tell me? It's not a mockery at all. Clearly you've never seen a drag show.
Men in drag are not trying to make fun of women. They
love women. They
want to be perceived as a woman for that moment.
Because they see that as powerful. They see women as powerful and strong, and they're trying to emulate power and strength. A lot of gay men that do drag, they feel the most confident and the most powerful when they're in their drag persona. So
I've heard that.
Yeah, so it's not making a mockery of women. They love women. They just don't want to have sex with women. Which is fine.
Try again, dirty varmint, because that is incorrect.
Yeah.
Please make more comments.
Yeah.
I think we can show that's wrong.
Yeah. When they say it's a lifestyle choice. Think of all the terrible crap people say about gay men, specifically gay men. Who would choose? Who would wake up one morning and go, you know what? I'm tired of being heterosexual. And I'm tired of being accepted everywhere I go. I think I'm going to go gay and risk losing their friends, their family, getting kicked out of their house, their job, healthcare. Like who says that?
Wait. There is an argument to be made for that. On average, I would have to agree with you. However, there are certain people who want attention more than the other thing. Now, I have seen that, and I don't think I'm being prejudiced in saying that. There are some people who actually need the attention so bad that they're willing to go against a norm for the attention.
Like a Munchausen's thing?
I don't know. It's something.
Huh. I mean,
It's not the easiest choice to make.
yeah.
It'd make your life harder.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Um,
saying. Like that would make, I mean,
make your life a lot harder. No,
yeah.
there's no doubt about that part.
Oh yeah, yeah. For
But
lesbians, it's not
my
so
next
bad.
eldest brother would lash out and misbehave when he was a child on purpose in order to get spanked, because spanking was more attention than he could get any other way.
Aw.
Now, he did not enjoy being spanked.
No, I'm sure not.
It was serious and he would cry, but he got the attention. Well, my mom had a bunch of kids. She was Catholic. And that is how he got the attention he needed. Now, that's sad. I'd rather he got the attention some other way.
Yeah.
Right.
That's sad.
But he was willing to struggle and have a very difficult life to get that attention, because I think that's how deeply we need love.
Yeah.
Now, I'd rather see people get love in an easier way, though.
In a good, healthy, normal. What the hell's normal anyhow? You know what I mean?
Normal just means average. But we know everything's on a sine wave. We know everything's in a bell curve. Everything. Yeah. And those bell curves overlap. So
yeah, that's true. All right, Richard, I got to get out of here. It was good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
I'll be I'll be listening. I'll be in the chat on the side. I got to take care of some things over here. But,
always a pleasure, sister.
You too. I'll see you soon.
Hey, sometime when you got a few minutes.
Yeah.
I want to continue the conversation we were having,
Yeah. I'll shoot you an email. My schedule changes. I don't have set days off. And like I live at my work, so it wouldn't take me a whole lot of time to get settled after work. I literally just go in the laundry room, shower, and then I'm done for the day. But when I have some time, I'll email you. I'll email you in advance, and we can set something up in advance. So I'll be good after 8 p.m. Eastern.
Make it easy for your schedule, because mine's pretty loose. I'm kind of semi-retired and do what I want.
Oh, nice. All right, Richard. I'll talk to you soon.
Always a pleasure, sis. Thanks. Thank you. All right. If somebody else hits that link, I'll keep going. Nobody else hits that link in the next literal 1 minute, I'm just going to close it down, and thank you all for your time. Thank you all in the side chat for being on topic and actually engaging in what we were talking about. That was wonderful. I appreciate that. And for the most part, most of you engaging with each other in human kindness, saying things that actually make sense to each other and having conversations in the side chat. I deeply appreciate that. I also would appreciate if you would vote on the video, because apparently computers like it when you do that. Okay, so apparently I'm supposed to ask you to do that. I don't feel real good about asking you to do that, but I think we are having interesting and sometimes important conversations here. So if you promote it in whatever way you can, I deeply appreciate that as well. I think that took up the guts of a minute to say that. So I don't have anyone backstage, which means I'm going to go ahead and end it now. It's always wonderful to see all of you guys. And special thanks to Marty for coming in and making the show for me. I deeply appreciate that. All right, guys. Doubting Thomas, Dirty Varmint. Who was the first one here? Commander 401, Tubian. I'm pretty sure I've never seen you on my channel before in the chat. Maybe once or maybe twice before, but not very many times. So thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it. Ox, as always, Pixie Storms, of course, KCA Randy. Thank you all very, very much. Rebuke and reproof. Feel free to come in, but man, try to say something that people can have a reasonable conversation with you. That would be pretty awesome. I mean, you're plenty smart enough to have a real conversation. I've heard you do it a few times. And Sasquatch, same thing for you. Thanks for coming by. All right, guys, till next time, I want you to know that I deeply look forward to the day that we're all great friends. Peace.